Hello, everyone. Today we're continuing our series on the Connecticut Healthy and Balanced Living Curriculum Framework. Today's presenter is Joe Gorman. Joe is the Supervisor of Health and Physical Education for the Education Department in Waterbury. He's also a past member of past president of CAFE, and he's one of the authors of the Healthy and Balanced Living Curriculum Framework. Today's presentation, Joe will go over the high school portion for physical education in the new standards and the new indicators for PE in the Healthy Balanced Living Curriculum Framework. So Joe, thank you for doing this today. We really appreciate you being here and all the work you've done on this document. And so Joe is going to go ahead and share his screen.
All right, welcome everyone. First of all, congratulations and thank you for taking an interest in looking at what the Healthy Balanced Living Curriculum Framework does for physical education here in the state of Connecticut. The mere fact that you're investigating these tells me you're a high quality educator looking to be on the cutting edge of what's new and what's going on with us. The 2.5 year writing process of reworking this framework took many things into account. At the high school level, it's structured a little bit differently than at the pre-K through grade 8 level, which was that it had very specific learning targets for each of those grade levels. The high school is taking a little bit different approach. So before we go any further, just want to make sure that you're aware of why it was important to do this. And that is very simply that we are in the business of teaching kids to be physically literate. That means we're trying to get kids to aspire to be lifelong, responsible individuals who pursue physical, social, and emotional wellness. And there are a number of ways that we do that outside of the realm of team sports, which unfortunately is still a predominant piece in many of our high schools. And we need to recognize that fact. And it was definitely taken into consideration by the writing committees. So I'm not going to read everything to you. You can certainly read this presentation on your own. And it will be available through this recording for you to go back again and again. So I do want to be respectful of your time and your talent by not reading to you. I just want to simply make the statement, the same standards that apply in pre-K through 8 also apply to the high school framework. Those are our National Shape America standards. They are the standards that we have as of right now. Those are being reviewed at the national level. There may be minor changes to them coming, and the framework will be updated to accommodate that at such time that it does occur. But this is the most current that we have to work with. So what's so different about this? For high school students, we've organized the framework into 2 separate parts. We're looking at a minimum proficiency competency as the benchmark, I guess, for our high school students to reach in order to be considered ready to enter college and career. On top of that is an advanced proficiency grouping, and that is for those students who are highly motivated, those students who are highly skilled, allowing for kids to pursue excellence above and beyond that proficient competency. So unlike the elementary where we show below level, on grade level, and advanced, we've got just the 2. All right, so our high school grade level outcomes is that as of grade 12, this is what we expect them to do, to demonstrate their college and career readiness by being able to be self-managing primarily, to be able to engage on long-term in 2 or more lifetime activities, to understand the key concepts and information that they need to pursue that lifelong in a safe way, and to model their responsible behaviors. We do all of that because all of that leads to self-expression, it leads to challenge, social interaction, enjoyment. One other note that we did add to the high school program, if you have a pool and are able to do swimming skills, water safety activities, that is strongly recommended that those be taught if your facilities will permit that, okay? Our instructional focus for standard 1, and you're going to see this in this presentation, is kind of a identifying thread. As I said, the committee took into account the team sports focus that we have had in our profession for many, many years at the high school level. It's not to say that there is no part or no place for team sports. However, it should not be a primary focus. Okay, what we're looking for here with high schools is for kids to self-select, self-identify 2 skills that they can pursue for a lifetime. All of the contemporary research points to adults not participating in team sports beyond age 25 or 27. Roughly 85 to 90%, depending on where you are in the country, no longer participate in team sports by that age. So it's exceptionally important if we're talking about being healthy and having a healthy lifestyle and pursuing physical activity for a lifetime, the majority of that is going to be in excess of age 25. We as educators need to be sensitive to that, and we need to be able to engage with our students to allow their preferences to come forward by demonstrating and by giving them lots of options to choose from. All right, so we're also, another thing that we're looking in the framework is that students actually must demonstrate competency in movement skills, not in a particular game, and that there are success criteria for you to evaluate that and be able to determine whether or not they would fall into the competency category or advanced, or if the student needs to do more in order to reach that base mark of proficiency. Another thing that I think needs to be said, and it happens in some of our high schools, it does not in others, quite frankly, and that is that we're going to need to address the standard around dance, and that it indicates that we have to emphasize a competency in 1 or more dance forms, okay? The identifiers for standard 2, again, it's not about team sports. It's about applying terminology, using movement concepts and principles in performance, and being able to create one's own practice plan and follow it. For our standard number 3, again, doesn't even need to be said, it's the header. But again, what we're looking here for is getting our students to understand the impact of healthy lifestyles for an entire lifetime. Immediately for college and career productivity, but also for quality of life, as well as disease prevention, and just simply feeling good about oneself and one's body throughout the lifetime. Giving them the tools to do that, to analyze the environmental factors that may come into play, and to use a proper technique for safety when they're doing resistance and strength training, okay? All of that leads to what our ultimate goal is, and that is for our students to self-create and implement a behavior mod plan for them that enhances their health and wellness throughout their life. That involves a lot more than team sports. It involves nutrition, different ways to maintain fitness on an individual as well as group level, how to manage stress, so on and so forth. So it's a lot more involved. Our standard 4, again, is understanding the impact, exhibiting proper etiquette, communication skills, critical and problem thinking skills in individual and group dance and physical activity settings, and also applying best practices. This is where we come in to talk with students about using sunscreen for melanoma prevention, injury prevention on how to warm up, cool down, so on and so forth. Proper hydration and nutrition for sports performance and physical activity performance. Okay. So again, the shift here is more to the individual, sports for a lifetime, as well as group game and play activities. On standard 5, we want students to analyze the health benefits of their self-selected activities because we want them to participate in it. It's very important that students develop a sense of competency in different activities, because that perceived competence is what is going to motivate them to continue to practice, to continue to improve, and to increase their ability to do various movement skills. That's what's going to do. If someone doesn't think they're good at something, they generally avoid it. Our challenge as physical educators is to turn kids on to fitness and turn them on to an activity that they will stay with. Okay. A big part of that is the whole social sphere. And we're going to talk about, again, how this relates to social and emotional learning in just a moment. Okay. But again, being able to understand the benefits and then analyze if whether or not they're taking full advantage of them. That's our instructional focus in standard 5. I mean, you can go through the document itself. You can read all of the grade level expectations as far as the competencies and the advanced. They're all pretty self-explanatory. It's your skill, it's your talent, it's your creativity as the instructor that brings that to life for students. And I'm so glad that you're viewing this presentation. Hopefully this gives you a little spur to begin that creative process of how you're actually going to communicate that to students and inspire them to stay within the spirit of what's being proposed. Now, I mentioned before social emotional learning. Districts in this state are spending huge sums of money on social emotional learning programs when there is a ready-made tier 1 social and emotional learning platform in every district, and that is your physical education classes and your health education classes. Drawing connections between the CAS-CIAC core competencies, which I might add, were, when you read through them, are very, very similar to the health education standards that were written 25 to 30 years ago. All right, so we can provide a very effective reinforcement of social and emotional learning if we structure our physical activity settings in such a way that we promote that we nurture it, and that we allow students to develop those social skills in group settings, in physical activity settings with others. So what exactly are those, and what's the crosswalk where they intersect? Well, if you look at the first, which is self-awareness in the CAS-CIAC competencies, which is the ability to accurately recognize one's emotion, thoughts, and values and how they influence behavior, to know one's strengths and limitations with confidence, optimism, and a growth mindset. Standard 4 and standard 5 of our physical education standard, national standards, directly relate to that self-awareness piece. If you look at self-management, okay, the ability to regulate and self-manage, again, standards 2, 3, and 4 apply. That working towards personal and academic goals. I've been asked from time to time by teachers, why in physical education are we being asked to reinforce academic goals? Very, very simply, it serves our purpose for a well-rounded individual, a well-educated individual who can do many things. So that really is the purpose of doing academic reinforcement. And then that becomes reciprocal because we use those academic terms in science, for example, in helping to communicate our own content going forward. Social awareness, obviously, we are in social environments in schools. We are doing group activities with others, which is a social norm. And we're trying to emphasize for kids that moral compass, or provide that moral compass for kids to be able to find ways that they can interact with others in ethical and socially acceptable ways. And also to help them recognize where are those community supports, where are those family and school supports. Could be their coaches, could be someone in their faith community, could be another teacher in the building. But physical educators normally have a very close and different relationship with students than classroom teachers who really don't necessarily have time for that. It's no knock on classroom teachers whatsoever. The environment makes it a lot easier for students to share personal information with teachers that they identify with, and physical education teachers normally are providing content that students are interested in, that they connect to. And so that makes it a little bit easier for them to communicate with health and PE teachers on things that, may be bothering them, maybe that they're looking for more information on. So you can be a guidepost for those students. And again, that connects directly to Standard 4. Our relationship skills, I mean, we've talked so much about sportsmanship and teamwork. That's all about relationship skills. The ability to communicate clearly, to listen well, to work with others, all right, to not be negative when others fail, but to help them up. So those, again, are the things that we really want our students to do, because what it's going to lead to is strong decision-making. And that responsible decision-making is not only conduct for oneself, but for oneself among others, and taking into account the safety concerns, the social norms, and the well-being of not only yourself, but others. And actually, that's something that all of us as educators, no matter our content area, want to strive for. So hopefully you'll take it to heart. Again, communicate this to your principals, to your content coordinators, to your superintendents, that you are a laboratory, you are a tier 1 proven tier 1 social and emotional learning delivery system for all of our students. And that we provide an environment that allows that to blossom. And if you can do that, then you will see definitely people taking note of your success in the classroom, in the gymnasium, in terms of how kids are reacting and how they're demonstrating progress in their social emotional makeup. So if there's any questions in addition to this presentation, my information is on screen. I am more than happy to be of whatever assistance I can in helping you to navigate your way through the high school program so that you can deliver high quality physical education to our 9 through 12 students. And I want to thank Joe also for putting together these video presentations to help support those of you out in the field.
Joe, thank you very much for that presentation and for all of your work and all of your leadership for these many years. We truly appreciate your time in this. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Joe.